welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. The title for tonight's video is "How to Bake a Cake Using R." Okay, and the title comes. How's it? First of all, how's that for a teaser of a title? Okay, and the reason is this, because when you're going to bake a cake, right? You don't start with page 1 of the cookbook and read all the way through till you get to chocolate cakes. Instead, you go to the table of contents and you go to the page where the chocolate cake recipes are. So you start with the tools and the methods you need only to complete that project. And I want to suggest that is certainly one way to learn our programming. Learn it on a need-to-know basis. Also, we're going to look at two specific tools this evening: Tidyverse and ggplot2. Now, I also want to say the code I'm about to give you is about 80% what you need to know about our program. That's kind of an odd statement, but the point is, and the reason I say it is because you're going to use this basic code over and over again. Okay, read data, summarize data, create plots and data visualizations of the data, do some data cleaning. Same steps over and over again, to the point where you really want to think about them anymore. Okay, so first of all, let's begin by creating a new project. Now, I also want to emphasize the importance of creating a project, okay, for all of your individual tasks, because the project allows you to keep all the code and the data for that project in a single directory. That also makes it easier with path statements, as you'll see. New directory project. Let's call this how to bake. I can type bake. Is it a cake or let's say how to bake a cake? Okay. Now let's switch into our new project directory. Let's come back over here. Let's see, New York Times. We're going to get some data here. I should point out that I'll explain the data in just one moment here. Okay, U.S. states. Let's put our data here. All right. First of all, let's take a look at our data. Okay. I always suggest that you take a look at the data just to make sure there's no problem with it. Okay. Potential problems could be, dates not formatted correct. There could be another problem could be that they're using, say, semicolons rather than commas to separate the fields. There could be, spaces in say the state name or something like that. New Jersey rather than, this could be a potential problem. This data looks okay. All right. Let me come back over here now, and we're going to create a script file. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is load our library. Now we're only going to start out with one library because it's but what a library, what a package it is. Okay, it certainly is the most widely used package on in our programming today. Okay. Okay. Tidyverse. Now, if you don't have Tidyverse installed, stop, go over to packages, go to install, type Tidyverse. Okay. Install Tidyverse. Okay. We're going to go ahead and I'm not sure if I'm spelling chocolate right there or not, but that's okay. You get the point. So now we got this. So now we're going to run this. Always suggest you load all your packages at the top of your script, okay? So we don't have to worry about them later on. So now we're going to do Now we're going to read our data. Read underscore CSV is part of the Tidyverse packages, okay? And one of the advantages is it does a really good job of recognizing date type fields, okay? So double quotes. Now, one other point. This is CSV2. If, for instance, you had a file use semicolons as a comma separator, then you would use read underscore CSV2. Okay. There's our data. Okay. Let's take a look at cakes. So we got a date. An important point about the date is this: the date is in a date format. So therefore, we don't have to do anything else to the date at this point. Is that right? Correct? State. Uh, I don't know what FIPS is actually, but cases and deaths. Now, I want to point out that there's two ways that COVID-19 data is being tracked. There's cumulative totals. That means the total number of cases or deaths from day one up until uh, July the 12th. Now, the trouble with that is since you always add it on the previous day's numbers, there's no the plot will do one or two things. It can go up or it can level off. It should never go down. But unfortunately, that's what we have right here. Okay. But that's okay for our purposes. That's just fine. Next we want to do a dimension, just so we can see what the structure is. So you can see that the file contains 47,718 rows of data and 5 columns. So each row is so for each state there's one row for each day. Okay. Now let's do a quick summary. And we can see here, you can see that the minimum count for cases is 1, the maximum is 10,000. Okay, I'm wondering about that. 10 million, that's an awful large number. And for deaths, the minimum is 0, and the maximum is 92,900, with an average of 9,549, and an average of, well, this says 63,848 cases is the average, okay? Let's just take a quick look at this number. Let's find out what this big case number is. So California, okay. So we got some basic data. What else can we do here? Well, let's calculate the daily total for the U.S. Okay. Now we're going to introduce the second tidyverse function. Remember, the first tidyverse function was readers. Now we're going to introduce you to the real heart and soul of tidyverse, and that is the group by function. So we're going to put a cake here. Okay. This is a pipe function. It says take the output from this database here and pass it to the right. Now the area here says redirect the output from this command back over to here to create a new data frame called daily total. Okay, so now what we want to do is do a group by date. Okay, pass that to a summarize function. Okay, then we're going to say cases equal sum cases, comma, equals. Now I'll just point out one thing in this function here. You could put any R function you want to in there. You know, You can do linear regression models. You can calculate means. You can calculate medians. You can calculate quantiles. So any you can calculate standard deviation. Any function that's part of R can be included in this summarize function. Okay. So this gives us our basic data we need here. So let's run this. Let's do this. Let's do another dim. Daily total. Let's do this. Now you notice this is already showing up in completion, even though it hasn't actually been run yet. Okay, let's save this. Now let's see if we can get this to run. Okay, so the new function only contains 904 rows, 3 columns. Okay, uh, again, since this is date, you can see the first date is January 21st, 2020. The last one is July 12th, 2022. And again, cases, average minimum case is 1, average case is, 33 million, the maximum of 88 million. Deaths, much lower. Okay, so now we got our basic data cleaned down for our purposes for tonight. So what's next? Well, what is next? Let's do a plot of the daily total. Okay, so let's do. Now, this one note, ggplot2 is part of Tidyverse, so you don't have to actually you don't actually have to load it separately. Okay, daily total. Now pay close attention to the syntax here for this plot, because you're going to use it over and over again. Okay. Labs allows us to create a title and lab allows us to do title, subtitle, captions, and also Y and X axis labels. Okay. Let's see if this will run. Here we have. Now you can tell this is cumulative totals because the numbers go nowhere but up. Okay, the numbers go nowhere but up. All right. Let's look at one thing here. I want to try to fix this label here without actually using an additional package. Side pen. Okay. This may or may not work. We'll see. Because what we want to do is we want to try to. Okay. Did I spell option right? So the idea is we want to try to get rid of the scientific notation here, right? Let's run this again. Let's see if this makes any difference here now. No, okay. Do I want to introduce you to another package? Yeah, what the heck. We'll go add one more package in here, okay? The package is called Scales. What Scales allows you to do is it allows you to format X and Y labels as various types. So when I say format, it means you can format the date column, the dates. You can format this so it has commas and gets rid of the scientific notation. Is what we're going to do here. Okay. You notice when you do ggplot2, you have to name the data frame. You have to have an AES and an x-axis and a y-axis. This for ggplot2, this is always going to be the same except for histograms and density plots. Okay. And the x is also the horizontal axis, and y is the vertical axis. And it's very common to have a date, some type of date or time field on the x-axis, okay? Because a lot of things is time series, okay? But let's see if we can get rid of the. So we want to format the y-axis. Continuous, okay? Equals comma. Okay? Now let's run this again. Okay? So now we got our numbers formatted here, right? So that's one. Now we're going to do the same thing with this. Same exact plot, okay? And all I have to do is all you have to do is change the y-axis. Okay. And now we got now we got total depths. Okay. Again, the scales function uses commas here. I mean, you can also do things like percent, dollar signs, etc. Anything and stuff like that. So it's the easiest way to format these columns. Okay. Okay. Now let's say we're only interested in the data from we're only interested in the data for this year. Okay, so again, daily total filter. Okay, but I think we have to do a select here first. Does the select look familiar? It's almost identical to SQL's select statement. Okay, we're going to say date comma. Oh, I don't know. Cases. Okay, we'll do that. Then we're going to pass this to a filter function. A filter function basically serves the same function as a where or having uh, function in SQL. Okay. Now, so we want to filter by date. You know the various mathematical signs of the less than, equal to, and so forth are identical in all languages. Okay. We're going to put this in here. All right. Let's come up here again. Notice what I'm doing here. I'm not creating a new data frame at this point. So we should be able to get rid of this here. Because all this is being passed down from up here down through all these functions here. Okay, so let's see if this will work. And there you have it. Okay, see how simple that was? I reused the code from up here. And this is why I say 80%, if you understand this code here, you basically learn 80% of what you need to know. Okay, let's come down here. Let's do the same thing for defs. Okay, see a pattern? Oops, that's not it. And again, all we have to do defs change this to defs. Now we have total deaths for 2022. Okay, let's say for instance we only want say I don't know, two states I can spell, Ohio and New York. Okay, now since we're only pulling out individual states here, we don't need to do any type of summary function. Okay, so again we're going to come here, we're going to say cakes. Let's give this a name here. So we're going to say a slightly different version of the of a filter function. Let's see if this works. So we're going to filter state, comma, in and okay. Let's just see if this works for us. Let's just run this by itself first. Okay, that works. Let's go ahead and run this. All right. But now we're going to do something a little different. We actually want to plot New York's and Ohio's plot on a single plot. Okay. Ohio, New York. right? Here's what it, of course, there's a couple things we can actually do. Let's say you want to create two plots, one for each state. Well, there's a plot called tilde. So this says separate the plots by state. Now we got a plot for each state. All right. But let's say we don't want a plot by each. Let's say what we really want is we want both plots on the same plot. We take our first plot up here, come down here. Then over here, let's try adding a equals. That's basically what we're looking for. We just want to fix the colors though. And now we have a plot with both Ohio and New York on it. Okay, let's come back up here. Take our okay. And now we have our plot. But of course, this is cases we also need depth. So here we go. Okay. And just for the sake of completeness, let's come back up here, do this first one again. Uh, okay. There you have the total deaths by state. You can see obviously that New York has a lot more deaths than in the state of Ohio did, apparently. Okay, and there you have it, folks. There's a very brief recipe on how to make a chocolate cake in R. Thanks so much. Stay tuned for more videos.